make sure we get it. Cool. Can Christina or Kara just put me a couple of thumbs up so I can that you two I can see. Fabulous. You can see my screen. Lovely stuff. So then, guys, obviously, if you've not been here before, which quite a few of you haven't, because I know a few of you joined in the past month or so, these do run monthly. There's been a bit of delay this month because um why was the delay? Oh yeah, loads of people can do last week, so that's why I moved it to this week. So the next one will be in 3 weeks. So there will be quite a quick turnaround for the next one. So you've obviously all submitted your questions. I'll be going through your answers today, and obviously if anything else sparks your mind, just let me know. So this will probably be an interesting one for a lot of you. So Kerry's asked, do diet fizzy drinks enhance sweetness cravings? And they actually do. So obviously diet drinks have their time and place, of course. They're a great tool to use when you're on a fat loss journey. So like obviously like your Coke Zeros, diet lemonades and things like that. However, they do actually, well, they can actually make the sweet craving problem worse. Now, the reason being is artificial sweeteners, and I know there's like a massive debate on this online whether they should be good for you or they're not good for you. And loads of people are saying different stuff. I'm pretty neutral on the subject. They help me massively on my fat loss journey, so I'm not saying not to have them. But essentially, what happens is when you drink or eat something with artificial sweetener in, your brain basically thinks that calories and energy is coming because it thinks it's sugar. Your brain doesn't know whether it's a sweetener or whether it's sugar. So what tends to happen is it creates essentially a mismatch in your brain signal. So it's expecting this kind of big rush of energy and sugar, but that doesn't come. Yeah, because it's an artificial sweetener and it's generally going to be low or no calorie. The problem with this is your brain's then going to go, right, I need calories, I need sugar. And it can actually make the cravings worse or it can make them prolonged. This isn't for everybody. And personally, for me, I don't really notice this. So for example, like times of the month where I want a lot of sweet things or I've got really intense cravings, things like Coke Zero can really, really help me. But what I would say is if you're drinking it out of habit just because it's no calories, that is problematic because your body's then craving something sweet and it's craving calories which are then not coming, and then you're finding it really hard to manage your cravings and managing your ability to control food when it's not actually a control problem. It is just the fact that you're drinking artificial sweeteners, if that makes sense. So obviously some studies have shown that it vastly increases that craving, but I just think it is on a person to person basis. Obviously, when you're drinking a lot of artificial sweeteners or eating a lot of artificial sweeteners, you have a higher chance of overeating later on in the day. So that's why it is problematic. So I'm not saying take these out of your diet completely, but for Kerry's answer to the question, obviously, yes, they do. They do enhance sweetness cravings. So if you're feeling like you're really struggling to control your sweetness cravings and you constantly like going for protein bars with loads of artificial sweeteners or really low calorie snacks like full of artificial sweeteners, I would really advise against it. If you know me and obviously been coached by me for a while, I don't like snacks and I don't like low calorie alternatives. I'd rather somebody just have the real thing but have a smaller amount because from a craving perspective, you're far less likely to overeat than when you're trying to find constant alternatives to everything all the time and then you're ending up overeating that wherever it is, whatever. So paradoxically, it does. So again, it might shock some of you, some of that, but maybe like if you're suffering, maybe start lowering down on your 0 calorie drinks. Like I said, I used to use them as a massive tool. Now I don't even buy them, but now and again I think, oh yeah, I fancy it, and I know I can have it controlled. It is 0 calorie, guys, so it's not gonna impact your calorie deficit. And I think that's the big thing. Sometimes we're like, oh well, it's 0 calorie, it's low calorie, it's not going to put me over my calories. We need to get out the mindset of just being totally focused on the calories and maybe what is a knock-on impact of eating or drinking that beverage, which in this case, obviously that's the case. So hoping that answered your question, Kara. Um, Christina, sorry if you feel like I'm flying through these as well, guys. Like there is so many questions today, which is a great thing, but don't be afraid to ask anything else if you do think. So Christina, lovely to see you. Glad you're here. So, really common one. So how to combat the inner demon telling you to eat when you're not hungry. I have to constantly talk to myself and tell myself no, but sometimes it's too strong and I just have to get something. Not sure if it's habit or just me. So this is really common, and what I would say is talking to yourself all the time is pretty normal when you're making decisions. It's not just about food, it's about the decision for everything. So like talking yourself into going to the gym or going for your steps, like it is a constant battle in your head. Now, what I've found really, really helped me when I'm making like decisions every single day, because we make thousands of them, is giving that person or that thing a name. So if you don't want to go to the gym, or you want to eat shit, or you want to order a takeaway, give that voice a name and start separating it from your identity. Because you'll know, guys, if you do the identity, if you do the identity training as well, a big reason why a lot of people, I mean, the statistics are crazy. Like over 90% of people who lose 20 pounds or more regain it back within the first 12 months, which is really, really staggering. Obviously, this doesn't happen with my clients. And I think a massive reason for that is kind of removing the identity. And the reason why that happens is when you're, say, fat or you're overweight, and I know we all hate that word, but you identify with that person and you just believe that's you. So no matter what happens, you will always start dragging back towards that person. And that's why a lot of people regain weight back over time or very quickly. So understanding that that person is a different person and giving it a different identity. And I know it sounds pretty bizarre when we're talking about ourselves not to eat something or not to do something, but it starts taking you away from that identity. So, or, that thing is telling me, to overeat, or that thing is telling me not to go to the gym. Just give it a name. And then you start believing your brain that it's not you telling you that, if that makes sense. So you're like self-manipulating in a sense, but it really, really does work. So that would be my advice. Give it a name, like whatever name that it wants to be. Like I did a lot of this with my therapist over overthinking, and she told me to give it a name. And then that really, really helped me. And it works the same in this sense. Um, Also as well, like just check in with yourself. Obviously, you've put here, you understand that you are not hungry, but a lot of the time, pretty much most of the time, if we are somebody with a background of overeating, we are trying to create an emotion or a feeling because food gives us dopamine. It's a dopamine release. It gives us joy. So all we're trying to find is happiness ultimately. And obviously, it might be a short-lived happiness because then comes guilt. And if you have done the binge and emotional eating masterclass that I did last month, I talked a lot about this cycle and how to break this cycle. So it's definitely worth going and back and watching that coaching if you haven't seen it. But the usual reason is because we've got some type of emotion that we're not happy with. So think about other things that you could do in that moment that are going to give you that feeling of joy. Whether it's like take your kids out for a walk, play with your dog, like it's usually becoming from an emotion. That's all you're trying to fix is an emotional state. You know it's not the hunger. So it's about understanding what emotional state that you're in. In that training, I did a big wheel of emotions where you could choose the emotion, find the emotion that that's linked to, and start really understanding your emotions because food is emotional. And like I've spoken about previously, food is essentially an addiction, but it is that addiction that we can't remove entirely. If we're an alcoholic or addicted to drugs, like you can slowly wean off that and live for the rest of your life without it. Food's the only thing you can't. And that is why it is so challenging to get over things like this, but it is completely possible. I would definitely say like find a distraction or find an alternative. So like if you're feeling that feeling, just like down a glass of water. Or what I used to like to do is think, right, I'm gonna wait 20 minutes, and if I still want it in 20 minutes, I'll have it. Majority of the time I'd forget. And I know it sounds so simple, but just the problem we have in society now is that, we can get everything very, very quickly and at convenience. We want a burger, it could arrive at our door within 10 minutes. Everything is so convenient. And because we act on our decisions so quickly, we don't even give the time, the brain to process the thought. And that's like, for example, if you don't want to go to the gym, I will tell myself I don't want to go to the gym, but while I'm putting my gym trainers on because I'm not giving myself the chance to really sit and think about it or look around and think, oh, well, my floors could do with a vacuum because that is procrastination. So it's almost like not allowing the brain to allow to go down that thought process. And again, like creating new routines is massive. So like if you're somebody who sits down on an evening and you're an avid snacker or you're an overeater, find things to do on an evening, like go for a nice sunset walk, have a nice calming bath, like fill that time with other things and start breaking the habit routine. Um, but also just be like kind of normal to yourself. It is okay to have some snacks on an evening. It is okay to have a bit of chocolate. Like no one's gonna die. It's about understanding like what if you're eating out of negative emotion or whether you're genuinely eating out of just because you fancy a bit of chocolate. So talking to yourself, totally normal. But those are like the biggest tips I'd give for that. Did that help at all, Christine? Has that answered your question? You can just pop a thumbs up. You don't have to unmute yourself. Yeah, cool, lovely. Um, so, question three, Laura. So this is quite a big topic, and there is actually, if we have time, I've linked here a video of me talking about this, but Laura, as well, I can always give you the video. I've done a whole video on how to work out your macros. It's on my Instagram. If you scroll down, if you can be asked, to about 4 months ago, it's how to set your macros with a big calculator, and I taught you through it. However, this obviously depends on whether you're looking at fat loss or looking at maintenance. Now, the problem that you have is obviously there's a lot of online calculators. You could go onto online and type in calorie count calculator and it would spit numbers out. The problem with this is, I mean, if I did that for clients, it would be an absolute shit show, to be quite honest. Like, I don't know a coach who ever uses a calorie calculator for clients because there's too many inaccuracies, and it's essentially putting in all your basic data and spitting out a number. Whereas obviously when I get to know clients, I get to know whether they're working from home or commuting to the office, like all the little attributes that demonstrate on like kind of their TDE, which is their total daily energy expenditure, and that helps determine on their macros. Even for example of how confident they are in the gym, that will depend on their macros because I know how hard they're going to push themselves. If I get a new beginner client compared to a more intermediate or advanced client, them two clients are going to burn a very different amount of energy in the gym because one's going to push to failure, one isn't. So there's loads and loads of different factors that make up your macros. However, to answer your question simply, obviously, first of all, you need to understand your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. You just type in Google TDEE calculators, you put in your numbers, it's going to give you an approximation. Like we said, it's not going to be fully accurate. Um, Now, obviously, you can put in fat loss, maintenance, gaining weight, anything like that. But essentially, how I work out a client's macros is obviously I'm understanding their total daily energy expenditure, and majority of the time clients coming to me for fat loss, so we want to be kind of 15 to 20% below that. Now if you go into MyFitnessPal and say, I'm sure we've all done it when we were like 16, it's like, how much weight do you want to lose, and you put the maximum amount in, and then it's like spits out like 1200 calories a day. This is where people go wrong because it is a massive underestimation of calories, and it's not considering other factors. So 15 to 20% of your daily calorie intake. So say your maintenance is 2000, 15 to 20% of that, let's say 1600. That would be your calorie deficit. So that's a 15 to 25% reduction in your calories. Um, and then for macros, I work out the most important macronutrient first, which is protein. Now, there's lots of different information on this. Personally, you want 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight or ideal body weight. And the reason I say ideal body weight is because I say I've got a client over 110 kg. It's going to be very, very hard for them to get that amount of protein in because their body weight is so high, if that makes sense. So if you are in, say, the obese or the morbidly obese category, you'd be kind of looking at more ideal weight. So for me, I always go to the top end of the protein scale. So when people say like 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, or in kg, it'd be 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kg of body weight. I always go to the topper end because obviously protein, most satiating macronutrient with strength training, we want to make sure we're getting it in. So for example, let's say we've got somebody on um 2000 calories. Their calorie deficit says 1600. Then, if we were looking at protein at 2 grams per kg for a 70 kilo person, that would be 140 grams of protein. So that's 560 calories. So you're taking 560 calories off 1600. And then for your fats, you want about 20%, 25%. So, say, for example, fat is 9 calories per gram. So, say, for example, we are wanting 25% fats, which is 400 calories, and that's about 44 grams of fat. And then the rest of it is your carbohydrate. So basically, we would take 560, we'll add 560, which is your protein, plus 400, which is your fats. We take that off the 1600. That leaves us with 640 calories, which is 160 grams of carbohydrates. And that is basically how you work out your macros. Again, Laura, if you need more help on this, do let me know. Obviously, maintenance, that's a whole nother story. Your maintenance is the same process, but obviously you wouldn't be doing the calorie deficit. But what I'd also say is you don't want to go from calorie deficit to maintenance, you need to reverse diet. I know there's been so many questions on reverse dieting. There's a whole module on it if you end up coaching long term with me, because obviously I teach clients how to reverse diet as well. So sorry if I overcomplicated that, but that is the best way that I can explain it. But if anybody does want the calories set in or is on here and not a client, you can just send me your metrics and I can set them for you. It's no bother. Cool. Question four. So quite similar to the question before, but if you've hit your macros, protein, fiber, etc., and not feeling hungry, Emma says she tends to have a snack or a treat like chocolate in the evening if she has calories left. Should she just not eat anymore if you're not hungry when the protein macro is hit, even if I have 200 calories left? Interesting. So this is basically where you've got calories left, you've hit your protein. Should you eat for the sake of eating when you've got room to do so? Now, personally, my initial thought process with this is no. And the reason being is you do not want your body to create a habit of eating when it's full because you're making the problem then worse. If your body's signaling it's full and you're eating for the sake of it, you're then teaching your body that you can eat past hunger, which we all can eat when we're full, like if we really wanted to. But we kind of don't want to put ourselves in the position of doing so. That being said, if some chocolate every single night is preventing you going on a binge or going absolutely crazy, then have a little bit of chocolate. But what I would also say is with your calories and your macros, I mean, 200 at the end of the day is not sufficient, is not a big deal. But if you've got hundreds of calories left over at the end of the day, you shouldn't be if you're meal planning correctly. So I just got a question. Yeah. So sorry, I don't know who it is because it says Zoom user, but someone's put I have a mini Kinder bar when I want chocolate on an evening is the biggest reason I'm saying. Oh hi Nat. Yeah, exactly. So like Nat, Carly, another great transformation, they've both said like they have chocolate every single day. And you absolutely can do if you can fit it into your calories. There's no reason why you can't. The biggest thing is like Emma's saying here, she's hit a protein. And if you're eating chocolate at the end of the day and you weren't near your protein goal and you're using your calories on chocolate, not hitting your protein, that's a different story. But if a bit of chocolate every single day, it's going to be no big deal. So again, it's completely personal preference. Um, you Most people like a treat in the evening, so that's why people tend to eat stuff like this in the evening, which is completely fine. But again, don't just eat things for the sake of eating things. It's almost like a habit loop as well. Sometimes, like if you eat a bar of chocolate every single night, some nights you won't even crave it, but you'll just be in the habit. Your brain will get to like 7 o'clock, all right, it's ready for a chocolate bar now, and you're creating a habit loop. So I'd be very careful about creating habit loops. It's like if you've got a dog and you feed your dog at 6 p.m. like every night, and then it gets like 5 to 6 and your dog starts like annoying you because he or she knows it's about time to be fed. It's just the same concept. It's like we're creating patterns in behavior. So there's nothing wrong with it, Emma. Don't get me wrong, but I'd be cautious about having something in a habit loop of like same time, same every day. Maybe just try one night not eating it and seeing how you feel. So I hope I answered that question. Um, Managing eating out in a restaurant which doesn't have nutritional information. Really, really easy one. So estimate the best that you can. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. A lot of restaurants now will have nutritional information, or even if you ask them, they'll give you the nutritional information. That being said, if you're going to say a curry house and it doesn't have it, and you know that you're having a chicken tikka masala, just type in MyFitnessPal chicken tikka masala. Like there'll be something very, very similar. What I'd always say is overestimate, not underestimate. The amount of clients that I see going out and they'll say gone for like I don't know, say poached eggs on sourdough with some avocado and then put it through as 200 calories. Like it's not 200 calories. Like if anything, like it's going to be far, far more than home. A lot of the time as well, when you're having breakfast options out, like you won't realize, but when you're having smashed avocado, they smash it with cream and sour cream because avocado is expensive. So you're just thinking you're having avocado, but you're not. You're having a load of like heavy sour cream or cream that you're not aware of. So there's loads of different hidden things that you won't notice. So I'd always say overestimate, not underestimate. So if you're on a chicken tikka masala, choose something that's maybe 700, 800 calories on MyFitnessPal because you're always better doing it that way than getting to the end of the week and being like, oh, I've been in my calorie deficit, I've not lost any fat. But then you're putting 3 meals out at like 200, 300 calories to make yourself feel better. It's just stupid. So always overestimate it. Another thing that I would do is like say if you get into like let's say you're having a going to Toby Carvery, for example, and you're having a roast dinner, input the stuff separately. So see if you've had like one Yorkshire pudding, like I don't know, 8 roast potatoes. That'd be me anyway. People are thinking about 8 roast potatoes, but I'd have a lot of roast potatoes. And then like say like your beef and your gravy, like put it in as individual things. And then always add oil. Always add oil. Like, just add 10 grams of olive oil because again, I'll see a lot of the time when people are tracking roast dinners, they're putting through all the individual ingredients and they've not put any oil in. They will be cooking everything in oil and it'll be maybe like 200, 300 calories out. Again, guys, like with tracking, I know that I probably sound quite strict with this. This isn't forever, but when you're doing it, you might as well get it as accurate as you can because it'll just make everything so much easier. Um, so you can do individual stuff, like if you're having like rice and chicken and something else, like put it through individually. Make sure you're tracking things like sauces and stuff like that. Like when I was 125 pounds overweight, doing everything and not losing weight, I would like say go to Weatherspoons and then like put my meal through and then just like have like 10 tablespoons of mayo and not track it like stupid, and then just was wondering why I couldn't lose fat. So just be really aware of stuff like that. MyFitnessPal's great. It's got loads of similar databases. Again, if you end up on Evolution, and if you guys, there's a lot of people that are on Evolution here. There is an advanced coaching on meal plannings and macros management where I talk about more in-depth tracking and like how to be aware of things. But for example, like if you're typing a meal in, you need to check the macros that it's got protein, fats, and carbs, because a lot of the time I'll get a client to say, oh, I'm 100 grams low on my carbs this week and I don't know why. And I go through the MyFitnessPal and all the meals I've tracked out will say like 500 calories, but it'll say 000 in the protein, fats, and carbs, because this is a public domain. So people might track things on there but not put in the protein, fats, and carbs because it's just public domain. So when you are typing things in, just make sure there is something in there for protein, fats, and carbs. And does it make sense? Have you had a chicken curry and it said zero for protein? Because we know there's going to be protein in it. So just find something as similar as you can and just like use your common sense. Um, so yeah, either log stuff separately, type it in, it's not the end of the world. The biggest excuse and the one I hate is, oh, I ate out on the weekend, so then I couldn't track my food. Sorry, what? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like, yes, it might not be fully accurate. I'm aware of that, but we need the self-discipline to be able to track in, something similar. Another thing that you can do as well, if you're out, say, eating, I get this a lot, oh, well, I was socialising, I didn't want to do anything. Take a picture of your food, track it when you get home. Go look back at what you've eaten. That's a really, really easy way of doing it. That's what I do in some social situations. So people like going, oh, why are you doing that? Or what are you doing? Like, 'cause I can't be bothered with a conversation. I'll just take a picture of my food and then I'll just do it when I get home. Yeah. So hope that helped, Emma. Um, so fair. Anything cravings related helps me. Is everyone due on their period at the moment? Because the amount of cravings I've got recently is hilarious. But yeah, cravings are totally normal. They happen for obviously a number of reasons: emotional, hormonal, habitual. Like I said, we can create habits by cravings by habit as well. It's because your body wants a hit of pleasure. Just think about that. Like it's because your body wants something pleasurable. So again, like I said, pause and check in when the craving hits. Am I really hungry? Am I bored? Am I stressed? If you're stressed, what you're stressed about, maybe go tick three things off your to-do list or do something that's going to help you de-stress. Distraction, plan for your treats. You can obviously have them mindfully as well. I'm gonna, at the end of this, I've got quite a big like cheat sheet with all different things that you can have. So if you're fancying something sweet, like alternatives that you can have instead of having the thing that you want to go for as well. So I will come to this in a bit more detail. Again, swap and reduce. So I'll be showing you some cheat sheet stuff, but have a little bit. What I really like to do is like snack plate method. I used to love this. Like if I wanted some chocolate, I wouldn't be having like, I don't know, them like Fiber One Go bars or all that shit where it's like 99 calories because it just wouldn't do it for me. I'd have a small bar of chocolate, but I'd put it on a board and then I'd also cut up an apple, then put a bit of peanut butter, then a couple of rice cakes, and I'd fill like this big snack board. So then I felt like I was like indulging, still having what I wanted, but then feeling satiated. Because a lot of the time it's the hand to mouth action. So if you just have that one bit, then you just want to go back and get some more. Whereas if you keep yourself occupied for a bit, it can really help. But again, I will go on to some more options for this as well, Sophie. Um, Question 7. Charlotte, I've had the same breakfast for about a year. Sorry, Charlotte, I know you've been with me a long time and I know you've had the same breakfast for a long time. So you're getting summer porridge in winter, but I've really gone off protein powder. Do you recommend drinking clear flavored protein with water? There's nothing wrong with clear flavored protein with water, but I wouldn't really suggest it in the morning with breakfast. We want in protein, obviously, to help us keep full and satiated, but also to help muscle recovery. And would that be our best option to wake up and drink a protein shake? In my opinion, no. It's not going to do any harm, but I just don't think it's best placed in your day. Like clear way, fair enough, have it after your workout with a banana, but I wouldn't necessarily just drink it with breakfast for the sake of making a high protein breakfast. Remember, the reason we're wanting a high protein breakfast is so the food digests really slowly through the digestive tract and it keeps us nice and full and satiated. So we ideally want to be getting our protein from food. Things like protein powder are a great tool and source, but you certainly don't need them to hit your protein goal. So my advice would be just switch up your breakfast. You're saying here you're having obviously your porridge and you're having yogurt. I would switch to more savory breakfast. So like you've got things like eggs, chicken sausages, bacon, like just switch up your breakfast and have other protein types rather than having a protein shake and then just having something that's low in protein. So I would maybe switch to a savory breakfast, and there's so many ways that you can do that. Again, obviously, Charlotte, you're on the Elevate program. You can use the high protein breakfast recipe book. There's 44 recipes in there that I've written with all different types of breakfast that you can make, which are all over 30 grams of protein. So there'll be so many options for you there. But like even eggs, like for me, I'll have eggs every single morning. I have done for years. I'll either have them boiled, scrambled, poached in a, I don't know, in a bagel with chicken sausages. Like eggs, I can just do them like 10 different ways, but I'm still having eggs every morning to keep it interesting. Using egg whites as well, just to add a bit of boost of protein, omelets, quiches, breakfast burritos that you can heat up. The literal possibilities are endless, but I think to me, you're more put off having like porridge and yogurt. There's so much the protein powder, or just switch up your flavors. Like for example, like I will sometimes put chia seeds in, then I might put peanut butter on, then I might put almond butter on, then I might have salted caramel flavored protein powder. Then I might have double chocolate. Like I will switch up my different flavors to try and give it a bit of variety. Sometimes I might have mango, then I might have raspberries, like just to give it a little bit of variety so it's not feeling so samey. So I have an energy question. Sorry, somebody just put something in the chat then, but I was yabbering on, so I didn't click it in time. And then, oh, here we go. Thanks, Sophie. I switch it up and a look at the recipes. Also open to some new protein suggestions. Do you mean protein powder suggestions, Charlotte, or do you just mean protein suggestions in general? Because I like Optimum Nutrition. You think I'd be sponsored by them, the amount I go on about them. They need to give me a discount code. Powder. Um, I'm really bad for this because I've tried like I've spent thousands of pounds on protein powders, and my favorite is Optimum Nutrition, just because it mixes the best I feel with food. I'm trying a nice one recently, WPI it's called, but it still doesn't beat my Optimum Nutrition. But there's loads of different flavors from them, so give some different flavors a crack. If anyone else likes anything else, don't just take my gospel word for it. But it's the only one that I feel like doesn't go lumpy and it doesn't taste artificial. That's why I like it. Um, Vicky, how to keep going when you're emotionally struggling? Oh, bulk. Yeah, bulk's pretty popular. Nats, but bulk's my fave. Yeah, I like bulk for liquid egg whites as well, and they always have some good promotions on there. Even my protein do some weird and wonderful flavors. And the good thing about my protein is you can get I don't know if you can still get it anymore, but you used to be able to get the boxes, with all the flavor varieties, where each sachet. So like you could just try shitloads of flavors before like committing. So I used to like them boxes, and again when I was traveling and stuff for work, I used to take them with me. Um, yeah, Amazon. I think Amazon have got like this payday deal on at the moment as well. But yeah, I get my Optimum Nutrition off Amazon when they have a big sale like once a year, and then I buy like 10 kilos of it. Um, but Vicky, keep going when you're emotionally struggling emotionally. So again, like obviously things happen in everyone's lives a lot, and I think again a lot of clients at the moment are struggling with grief in different ways as well, which is a really really hard one to navigate because sometimes with grief and with emotions people want to overeat, sometimes people can't eat. But there can be a million and one reasons why, you can struggle emotionally, your job, your relationships, your life, the fucking weather. It could just be anything. But understanding that food and that fat loss just isn't always about food and exercise, and that when you kind of accept that a fitness journey is for the rest of your life, you are less worried about emotional hiccups. I think the problem is when you've spent your life, and I'm not saying you particularly, Vicky, because I know you've been with me a long time as well, but if you spent your life starting and stopping journeys, it feels very turbulent and it feels like something happens in life and then you're off your fat loss journey or you're on your fat loss journey. Like that's not the case. Like you just have to see it as there's bumps in the road and then you have to slowly adapt certain things. Obviously I am, wanting people to give 100% across all the different metrics all the time because I know that's what's going to give them a result. But sometimes some areas of life might just need to be given 50%. And then other areas of life can be given 80%. Like you have to see it as like you've got your personal life, you've got your fitness, and then you've got your like things like your work and your career. So you've got to see them as like three different building blocks. You can't be 100% across three at all times. So sometimes when things happen in your personal life, that might need a little bit more attention than your fitness journey. So your fitness journey might come down at 70% and your personal life might go up to 100%. That is okay. As long as we kind of understand that concept and not being worried about being 100% at all times across everything, you can then emotionally just relax a little bit. I think one of the main things as well is talking to me because what I hate is when clients are having a really rough time and I don't know about it and I'm there on the Zoom calls going, we should be hitting our water. It's a non-negotiable. And then you turn around and say, oh, well, this and this has happened. I can put things in place and say, right, okay, let's just remove this target for now. Let's not worry about that. Let's maybe not even track our food. Let's just focus on eating within 2 hours of waking up and eating some at 30 grams of high protein. So I can start customizing and helping you build something for that period of time so it doesn't feel overwhelming. Again, like simplify your non-negotiables, like understand what is a non-negotiable. Everyone's non-negotiable should be that they drink enough water. Yeah, because that is something that we need to survive. So despite everything, we should have a bottle of water with us. That should be quite relatively quite easy. Again, things that might be not so important is tracking all your food when you're going through a hard time emotionally. And that is why when you are in a good position, you are tracking your food, it's really important to be consistent because you learn. And then when you do have periods of time where you maybe not be able to track your food, you've learned that much from tracking your food. You'll know, oh, well, if I make that meal, it's going to give me these macros because you've done it long enough. So it gives you that flexibility. Like I could not track macros and still eat 150 grams of protein every day. But eventually there's going to be inconsistencies that are going to slip in. That's why I like to track. Um, so focusing on like non-negotiables, so like staying hydrated, you might not have a step goal, but might just say, right, I want to do a 20-minute outdoor walk every day. Think of things that are going to benefit your fitness journey, but also going to benefit your mental health at the same time. So rather than maybe going to the gym and getting on the treadmill and trying to hit your 10K steps, maybe just going outside every morning for 20 minutes in the fresh air and seeing some greenery is going to be more beneficial for you for that period of time. Again, this is you're still taking care of yourself without the added pressure of targets as well. And this is why coaching is really, really good when you do have a coach, because obviously, like, I know a lot of about people's lives and I can put things in place to help you. So my advice would be you tell me when something's happening and I can help damage control rather than thinking, oh my God. And then I get people turn around and go, oh, I just can't keep up with all of this. But then they've not reached out to help in the first place to help me, amend things. Also, like, just be kind to yourself. You're navigating through a tough period. Treat yourself like you treat a friend going through it. I have to do this a lot of the times myself because I obviously advise you guys a lot. And then sometimes things that happen to me, I'm like, oh my God, like, why can't I take my own advice? So basically, treat yourself like you would a friend. Like, advice that you'd give to somebody else, give to yourself in that circumstance. Um, Also think of your why, remember why you started. And also, like, if you are having a tough place emotionally, despite what the reason is, it's not going to be easier if you don't exercise, don't eat well, and start gaining back weight that you've lost. That's only going to make the emotions harder. And I know that sounds quite cruel and quite tough, but a lot of the time, like we're very easy, good as humans as self-sabotaging and like making it worse for ourselves. And I always think like if I'm in a tough situation, I think, well, yeah, I could not go to the gym and yeah, I could order a takeaway every night for this week, but is that going to make me feel better or worse emotionally at the end of the week when I'm already emotional? It's going to make me worse. So just try and put as many points as you can in your favor to not make your emotions worse. Again, avoid the all or nothing trap. It's always better to do something small than to do nothing at all. So, like, for example, right, 10K steps might seem too overwhelming, but a 20-minute walk might find more achievable. Just doing that 20-minute walk is still really beneficial. And also understand that it's temporary as well. I know depending what you're going through emotionally, it can feel like the rest of your life. It is just a temporary point of life. And sometimes you've got to think of your journey as, right, for the next couple of weeks, I'm just going to maintain. I'm not going to aim to make any big losses. I'm not going to aim to hit any targets. And I know that sounds quite weird coming from a coach, but sometimes I say to clients, look, we're not weighing in now for the next 2 weeks. This has happened. Let's just sit at maintenance. It's fine. No one's going to die. Nothing's going to happen. So that can help you as well. So I hope that answered your question, Vic. Um, Emma, how to manage eating at other people's homes, e.g., parents and grandparents who have cooked a meal. Funny one, this. I actually moved in with my grandma for like 12 weeks, and I think I gained nearly 20 pounds in body weight, which was hilarious. This was about 2 years ago, um, which I don't regret, and I would do it again if I ever need to go in. And next time I go into a bulk, I'm just going to go and move into her house. But yeah, family and friends and like going to eat at people's houses is really, really tricky to navigate on a fat loss journey. Um, and this can depend on whether you're asking this question in terms of like, how do we track as such, or how do we say no, which I'm going to go through both with you. So again, I always believe food is fuel, but food is also social, and I'm a big advocate of that. Spending time with family or friends over food is so important. Um, both would be great. Yeah, don't worry about. Oh, it's my pleasure, Vicky. Um, so. Yeah, so it's really, really important. And, family time. And, the last thing that I want anyone to do is saying, oh, no, mum, I can't come around for tea because, I'm on a fat loss journey. You don't want to do that. However, you do need an area of management with it. Now, hopefully, the people around you will love and support you if you're on a fat loss journey. That is in an ideal situation. A lot of the times, what I've known from my experience, they love and support you and want to feed you a lot as well, which isn't helpful. So I would also say like you don't have to track every gram, like just be aware. Like I used to say, like if we're going at my grandma's, like just have a little look on what she's cooking or how she's cooking it and getting a bit of an understanding of it. And also say stuff like, oh, I'm not absolutely starving, so you don't pile me up and stuff like that, and just be like, oh, I'm not overly hungry. Um, but also as well, like when you've got your plate, try and eat all like the veggies, if there is in it, and the salad stuff first. Try and fill yourself up because I know it's really, really easy when you're getting a meal cooked for you just to dive in and then kind of leave like the good stuff. Again, eat mindfully, really slow down with your food, like take your time with your food. Again, you can adjust the rest of your day. So if you know that you're going to a friend's house or a family member's for food, make sure that you're eating an adequate amount of protein because you might be going there and there might be something that's really low in protein and then shit, you're like 60, 70 grams off your goal and you feel like your week's quite low. So make sure before you go in for a meal or you're going out to whoever's houses that you're eating a really adequate amount of protein. And try and make your meals a little bit lighter as well. Like try and utilize saving a little bit of calories. Like I don't like calorie buffers, and I'll talk about this in a second with another question. Um, but just make sure that again, like you're not going to their house knowing you've got 300, 400 calories left and then wondering why you've gone over. Again, like if there's things like bread and butter on the table, you can just not have that. Like that's something that I would do, just skip stuff like that. Again, one higher calorie meal is not going to do anything. Like we're thinking of it in context. If you go to your parents or grandparents once every fortnight for a meal, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to have a huge impact. You just want to be mindful of it. Again, like these things are about connection, not just about the food. So again, like just be present and don't be like overly constructive or like criticize the people who are making your meal as well. Just be aware that people are usually cooking for you because they love you. Again, things like, or if people are offering you food, you could, and you don't have to have it. Oh, it looks amazing, but I might try some later. Or I'm really enjoying what I've had. I don't want any more, thank you. Just keeping it really light without like any awkwardness. You don't owe anybody an explanation of like why you don't want something or why you don't want to eat it. You're allowed to make choices. We're all adults at the end of the day. I know it sounds really weird, but I'd seen something online the other week and it was really funny. And I was like, I didn't think of it like that. Like, you cannot really be told off by another adult if you're an adult, like, as well. So, like, don't let people tell you off. Like, if you're an adult, like, you can't be told off. Um, so yeah, just again, use humor if it fits your personality. Like, if I eat any more, you're gonna have to roll me out of here. Like, that's what I'll usually say, and just be like mindful of stuff. Again, peer pressure is always about somebody else's problem, not your problem. If you get that, like, friends are always gonna peer pressure you to drink more. You know, people might, you know, people might be sat there eating a dessert and wanting you to eat a dessert to make themselves feel better about it. Like, we're not here to make other people feel better about anything. Like, everyone's, up for their own choices. That's completely up to them. Um, you know, don't feel peer pressured is my biggest advice. I've been to like wine and pizza nights and taken a Tupperware with me. Some people will think that's crazy, but if I've been on a 12-week fat loss journey, like I will do that because I still want to go see my friends and do stuff, but I don't necessarily have to sit there and eat a full Domino's pizza and a bottle of wine to do so. If you've got good friends, they'll understand that anyway. So I hope that answered your question, Emma. Um, fair. Oh, I've got anything else in here? My pleasure. Facebook bent over barbell row versus chest supported row. Fair, I've actually changed this for you anyway, because I know you messaged me, but however, I just thought we'd talk about it, about the differences. A barbell bent over row. So they're both good in their own sense. Out of these two, I would opt for a bent over barbell row personally, but I do still program chest supported row, and obviously I do have demo videos on it. But bent over barbell row really, really helps engage the core. If you're laid on a bench, if you're on an incline bench, the weight of the bench is taken from your core. And when we're only training 3 times a week, we want as many compound movements as we can to really, really utilize core stability. Again, it's more of a functional movement is a bent over row. So like it really helps things like deadlifts, pull-ups, like it's using more muscle groups. It can obviously you can move a heavier load compared to like a chest supported row. Chest supported row is really hard. Chest supported row as well, it can be a little bit awkward because obviously the bench is in the way you're trying to pull back to your hips. Like I do like it, but it can be a little more awkward. Whereas bent over row, you can really pull obviously pull the bar into your midsection and really get a good contraction on your back. Again, it does put higher risk, it's higher risk of injuries, a bent over barbell row, lower spine, things like that. So if you do have back problems, I wouldn't necessarily program this with someone with severe back problems. Um, I've got obviously a couple of clients that we do chest supported rows instead of this because I've got back issues. Again, fatigue in your lower back can limit how much your upper back can push as well. But what I'd also say is just making sure your core's really braced. If people are getting back pain through RDLs, bent over rows, anything like that, chances are they've got an anterior pelvic tilt, so they're not pulling the pelvis in and they're not squeezing the core in enough, and it's causing that big kind of U shape on the lower of the back. And you'll know if you send in form videos, it's something that I pick up on pretty much most clients anyway, and then teach them how to do that. Obviously, chest supported row, again, you're taking the lower back out of the equation completely, and you can focus purely on upper back and lat, so it can be a bit more isolating. It's great for building mind and muscle connection because you're not having to think about anything else. You can literally just think about that movement of pulling up. It's easier to maintain strict form. You can't cheat because you're not exactly going to swing. I'm sure we've all seen like that 50-year-old man in the gym, like literally like going for it like he's starting a lawnmower with a bent over row. You can't really do that with a chest supported row. Again, it's less fatiguing overall. So, like, if I've got a client on quite a big session, but I still want to put some back in, I might do a chest supported row rather than a bent over row because I know they're going to be too fatigued from, say, doing single arm rows or lat pull downs or something a bit more intense. Again, less core and posterior chain engagement. So, if I've got like a postpartum client or something like that with abdominal separation, it can be really beneficial. But again, it's less functional, so it's going to have less crossover to bigger lifts. So, I hope that answered your question, Faye. But yeah, I've moved you to chest supported row, and you won't have a bother with that. Question 11, Christina. What are you using calorie saving? So on the odd occasion, for example, if we want a Chinese one night, if this puts you over by say 1,000 calories, cutting back each day to make up for it. Good question. So again, it's what everyone's concept of the odd occasion is. The odd occasion for me would be like twice a year. My used to be odd occasion was once a week. So it depends what you think an odd occasion is. However, what I would say, if we're using Chinese an example, I worked in a Chinese takeaway for 7 years. There's not a Chinese takeaway plate on earth that's probably under 1,000 calories. I've seen how this stuff is cooked. It is extremely calorific. Absolutely delicious. Don't get me wrong. It's probably my favorite take. Well, it is my favorite takeaway. That's why I don't get it because I eat it every night if I could. But again, odd occasions for things like in life are absolutely fine. Like, we know that time to time we're going to go over our calories. It's just part and parcel. What I would say is, and how I've always deemed it in my head, when I'm in a fat loss phase, I've got blinkers on. I would not be getting a Chinese in a fat loss phase because it's probably the thing that is going to be so hard to control and most likely completely take me out my calories. Understanding that when you go in a diet break or if you hit your fat loss journey, you go reverse dieting or you're in maintenance, that is a different life. But if you spent all your life dieting, then you feel like you need loads of flexibility because you just think in your head, right, for the next 30, 40 years, I'm going to be dieting, so I need flexibility. If you dial down for like 10 to 12 weeks and you know there's a diet break coming, which Christina, you will have because obviously you're staying on with me long term and we'll program diet breaks in, you can be then more strict with yourself because you know it's only for a period of time. The problem is say you're having a Chinese takeaway, and let's just say, for argument's sake, it is 1,000 calories, the Chinese. The problem I have is you're then having to save, like, say, 200 calories or 150 to 200 calories less on all the other 6 days. And the other days, that is when you really need the food because you're probably training and you probably need that recovery. So, like having your calories too low, it's going to impact your sleep, it's going to impact your mood, it's going to impact your ability to recover from your training sessions. So, it's not that we're just saving calories for this Chinese, we're actually going to have a negative impact on so many other factors by calorie saving. So, that's why I don't like calorie buffers. There's been times and places where I've had clients, like, say, for example, I won't say any names, but like, say, have gone through a breakup or having a tragic time, and every weekend they want to fill the weekends with the mate so they don't absolutely go into a depressive hole. Then I've put those clients on slightly higher calories on, say, a Saturday and Sunday to give them that flexibility because their mental health is going to be more important right now. But doing it every single week just for the sake of like having a Chinese, I wouldn't recommend. Now and again, it's going to be fine, but I wouldn't even say pull the calories, to be honest, because if you pull in the calories, it's going to have way more of an adverse effect. 100 calories, yeah, you could save a little bit here and there. But personally, what my best approach would be is just choose better options at the Chinese while you're on a fat loss journey. So still have a Chinese, but yeah, you might not be able to have your sweet and sour chicken balls and your crispy deep beef and your prawn toast and like all that stuff, you might just be able to have one chicken ball and you might just have to adapt that Chinese to make it fit a little bit better. So it's only a couple of hundred calories over rather than it being this big 1,000 calories. Um, so like I said, it's not like we can never have a Chinese takeaway, but what you need to think about it, like put it out on paper, is my fat loss journey more important or the temporary feeling of me having a big fat Chinese more important? Because I can guarantee most people are going to say the fat loss, but in the moment they want the Chinese. So you want to be thinking of the bigger picture. And I don't want to get my words skewed where you're thinking, oh shit, I can never have a Chinese, because that's not the case. But when you're hitting hard in the fat loss journey, sometimes you just have to put the blinkers on and not have everything that you want for that period of time, knowing that you can have that, but just not now. So my advice would be like don't pull back calories. Um Again, like it's that thing of like earning your food, right? I've been good all week. I've lowered my calories for this. I've earned it. This is my reward. And I hate stuff like that because you're creating a reward system around food where you're rewarding yourself with food. All that's going to create is putting food on a pedestal, like that is the reward. And then you're just making everything so much harder for yourself long term. Punish reward system with food, which we don't want. Again, like I said, massively underestimate the calories. I see people put Chinese takeaways through the MyFitnessPal, and I just laugh because I'm like, no way in hell was that 400 calories. Like, it more like 1,400. And it's because it makes us feel better about things because we just, we don't know how things are cooked. So again, like under eating through the week, that's going to have a big adverse effect. Obviously, then eating shit food is going to have an adverse effect, major dehydration, really shit training, and things like that. So my advice would be you just make smart choices. There's loads of decent things you can have at Chinese. I've put some stuff on here. Again, a sweet and sour pork is around 1,300 calories. So that alone, just for a portion of it. So if you're like saying getting three dishes and halving it with your partner, you're still thinking like 1 to 2,000 calories. So like something like chicken and broccoli and garlic sauce, that's about 450. So you're saving 850. Crispy fried beef, that is my favourite. Something like black bean and beef, which is about five, we're saving about 700 calories, that's around 500. Deep fried spring rolls, you could have something like fresh fried paper rolls or veggie spring rolls, steamed or baked if they do it. Um, Lemon chicken, steamed or stir fried lemon chicken, like not battered. You'd be surprised, like if you ask the Chinese, like they can do stuff like they can. Everything's usually made fresh. Like I said, I used to work in a Chinese, so like if you wanted like a lemon chicken with the sauce, but maybe not the fried, just ask for like alternatives. You never know what they can do. Um, Um, Philippa, I can do a sheet, like if you or you send me what you usually like from the Indian, and I can give you some alternatives, that's fine. More than happy to help you with that. I did one the other day, but it was from a client who was pescatarian. But yeah, pop me over like what you'd usually get and I'll give you some alternatives for sure. Anybody, like if you're going out for a meal, getting a takeaway, send me the restaurant, send me where it is, and I'll give you the best options. Like, I don't know if you guys know I can do that, but I do that for a lot of people all the time. Again, special fried rice is about 1,000 calories. Steamed jasmine rice, really easy. That's what I like to do when I'm out for an Indian as well. Instead of getting any fried rices or anything like that, Indian's easy. Like you can just get like the skewers and the rice and the salad. Like Indian, you can actually make pretty macro friendly. Singapore noodles, something like plain rice noodles. Chow mein, something like stir fried veg with rice. So I would have like say just make some different choices and still have the Chinese for your family and maybe just have one or two chicken balls and just choose a different dish. Again, instead of prawn crackers, steamed veg or edamame beans. Instead of satay sauce, have soy sauce or chili sauce. Instead of honey chicken sauce, have light soy or garlic sauce. So it's not like you can't have it. Just make a few little swaps. Again, steamed is or stir fried instead of deep fried. Ask for sauce on the side. You can always control how much goes in. Order extra veg. Share main so you can try a bit of everything without going overboard. I know I went to town on that a bit, but I'm very passionate about my Chinese takeaway. I hope that answered your question. Um, Easy meals. So any nutrition advice, go-to snacks and evening meals that don't take too long to make. Yeah, most of my recipes on the recipe books don't take too long to make, to be honest, because I just simply cannot be asked. Like all my meals are really, really quick or meal prep food. So, like I said, I think a lot of people forget there's all them recipe books. You've also got Elevate Nutrition with everyone else's ideas, and there's like 3 years worth of ideas in there. So go have a look into there and start creating yourself some ideas. I have popped some easy stuff on here for you to have a look at that you can just grab and go. So these are like snacks, so like they're like 2 to 5 minutes to prep. Um, so grab and go stuff, boiled eggs, so easy, protein bars, tuna pouch and light mayo on crackers, hummus, and cucumber sticks, edamame beans, again, apple, peanut butter, rice cakes with turkey slices and light cream cheese, So they're just really, really easy stuff that you can pop together. Um, things that again a little bit longer, like 10 to 15 minutes. Chicken stir fry. I don't know why half of this is cut off, so I'm sorry about that. Turkey taco wraps, like turkey mince taco seasoning, wholemeal wrap, so easy. Prawns and veg fried rice. So again, you can get ready cooked prawns. You can just defrost them, bang them in the pan with some ready stir fried veg. I get like bags of frozen veg that are stir fry mix, and then I can just put them straight in the pan from frozen, and they're just so easy. Egg and veg scramble, tuna pasta salad, tofu and veg curry, baked potato with toppings. Again, I bake potatoes, like 5 potatoes at the start of the week, and then I just heat them up in the microwave when I want something quick and easy because they take ages to bake, but they're so easy to heat up. So just bake loads of potatoes at the start of the week. Honestly, it'll just be an absolute game changer for you. Mix and match again. Protein, to think about a protein source, a veg sauce, and a carb sauce. So things like microwavable rice, microwavable couscous, wraps, baby potatoes, wholemeal pasta. Really, really easy stuff. Again, all my veg I buy frozen. Then I just can pour it from the bag straight into the pan. Even like your frozen normal like winter veg guys, all I do is pour it into a bowl, pour hot water over it and microwave it for 2 minutes. I don't even get the hob out. I literally cannot be asked. And then I just sieve it and I've got steamed veg. Like so easy. Um so there's a couple of ideas there. This is a very similar question. For high protein, low fat snack ideas when you have calories left but can't stomach any more yogurt, cottage cheese, or protein, or eggs. So the other thing I'd say here is, if you have calories left and you've still got a protein goal to hit, your meals aren't high enough in calories or protein. You shouldn't be like getting to the end of the day thinking, oh shit, like I've got 40, 50 grams of protein left and I've got like 400 calories because you're just not planning your meals well enough to make sure you're hitting that protein goal. Like, I hate the word snack. You'll know this. I hate snacks, but I'm going to show you some, but I don't like snacks. Small meals, guys, not snacks. Snacks are the biggest waste of calories. But these are like some small meal ideas. So like deli turkey or chicken breast slices. So like literally get some cucumber, get some like chicken breast and just roll it up. Like just roll your cucumber, like round some turkey and just snack on it. It's so easy. Again, tuna in spring water, not oil. You can just literally eat out of the can. My granddad was a bodybuilder. He literally said that's what made him so big was eating like a can of tuna, well, 2 cans of tuna every single day with his lunch, just out the tin. Prawns and shrimp, again, ready cooked frozen prawns, tofu, protein crisps, again, with a pinch of salt. Don't just have these for the sake of it, but they are easy now and again. Beef jerky, edamame beans, powdered peanut butter. Again, just this is stuff's a godsend for a calorie deficit. It's just mix it with water. Again, it's like really, really low cal, and you can just put it on some rice cakes with some banana and honey as a snack. Protein pancakes, again, don't want to see anyone buying like the protein pancake powder. Like, what a waste of money. Like, just use protein powder, eggs, like milk it, like it takes 2 minutes. Um, Protein hot chocolate, things like that. You can do things like that. But yeah, just what I would say is I don't want your snacks to be necessarily protein. I would rather you snack on things like fruit rather than thinking, oh, I need to eat like cold turkey, like slices to hit my protein. Like, no. Hit your protein in your meals and have snacks and things you enjoy. Susie, holiday hacks, please. What's the best plan for staying fairly on track when away for 2 weeks and won't be able to fit in any weighted workouts, for example, sorbet instead of ice cream or a bowl of fruit, etc. Um, yeah, so 2 weeks is quite a long time, so you do want a relatively like decent amount of still being on track to an extent. So, like you said, perfect example there. Excuse me, sorbet instead of ice cream. When you're, it depends on whether you're all inclusive or anything like that. For me, like when I'm eating at an all inclusive or a buffet, like I will always make sure the first like half of my plate is like fruit, veg, and salad because I don't know about you, but when you're starving and you go up to a buffet, like you straight away like trying to find what's gonna satiate you the quickest, and it's just because your carbohydrates and your blood sugar's down and your body can't then control. So before you think of it, just go put a lot of fruit and veggies on your plate just to make sure you've got a decent amount of volume there on your plate. Also, obviously, always make sure you've got a source of protein in there, and like you don't really need to worry about having a source of fat because you're generally going to eat higher fat on holiday anyway. But things like if there's any avocado or like olive oil stuff like that, you can add in. Um, with your holidays, like for me personally, I am on it all the time. So when it comes to holidays, it's not that I'm having a blowout, but I'm not really thinking too deeply about it. If I want a dessert, I'll have a dessert. Like I'm not trying to think, right, I need to do this, this, and this to make sure it's a perfectly balanced. That will come naturally, like as you just realize this is a lifestyle anyway, so you don't really need to think too much about it. But you can either do it as a sense of, right, you can either have, which I've told a couple of clients to do and it's helped them, priority one, two, and three. So like you look at your day and think, right, do I want a breakfast that I really enjoy and I'm not really worried about the protein, or do I want a lunch or do I want a dinner? And then you just prioritize your meals. So like one meal, you make sure you have a really decent balanced meal, like you're not going over your calories, not doing anything drastic. Your second meal, you might have a little bit, a couple of slices of pizza, and then your third meal, you might just go all out and eat whatever you want. So that can still be balanced by prioritizing your different meals how you want. Or you can just have a relatively decent mix of each time. So you might want to say, oh, well, I'm going out for dinner tonight. I want a couple of like creamy cocktails while I'm watching sunset. Cool. Well, I'm going to have, poached eggs for my breakfast and I'm not going to have, loads of fried bacon and pancakes. So just thinking about your day ahead and thinking like, what is a priority for you? Again, there's nothing wrong with going on holiday and relaxing and having a great time and enjoying all the food and drink. But there's also no point coming back and feeling like absolute shit about yourself either. Like personally, I don't want to come back and feel shit. And it's not just the weight gain, it's like being tired, like lack of energy, like being really fatigued, like feeling like it's really slow to get back into things. Because food does affect how you feel. So for me, it's more so the feeling like my digestion's bad, like I don't want to be all constipated when I get back and like feel really sluggish. Like I still want to come back with spring in my step. And that's going to happen through eating a relatively decent amount of nutrition and fibre. So again, like veg with every single meal, fruit, veg, or salad with every single meal. Like when it gets to like want a little bit of a snack, go get yourself a bowl of fruit, something like that. Make sure you're absolutely nailing the water. I always take my insulated bottle with me on holiday because I used to not do that, and then I'd get them big bottles of water that'd go warm, and I'd always be dehydrated. So just take your bottle with you, like you can take it through the airport. That's what I do personally. Um, so yeah, just 80-20 mindset, like, and then every morning, every time you eat a meal, instead of just laying on the sun lounger like an absolute mashed potato, like just go on a 10-minute walk. Like it'll really help your digestion. So like every time you eat, just think, right, I'm gonna go for a 10-minute walk around the block before I lay down. Just start instilling those tiny little things. Usually on holiday, people get quite a lot of movement in rather than not because they, walk into the cafe or walk into the restaurant. They don't have a car, like they're swimming, like, you're generally moving. Just making sure that, again, like you're still having those daily non-negotiables. I really hate it when people ask me to like program them body weight workouts in the hotel room because for God's sake, like just go on a nice walk up a hill. Like don't be sat in your hotel room doing squats and stuff like that. Like nothing's going to happen in 2 weeks of not lifting weights. Utilize that time to be active, but in different ways. So I wouldn't be stressed about not necessarily going to the gym. Again, when people say, "Oh, if there's a hotel gym program me to do the workouts at the hotel gym, so I'll do it, and not a single workout will be done." It doesn't matter, but like, don't set yourself up like you're gonna go on this holiday and go in the gym all the time. I hardly ever use hotel gyms. Like, I might just get a bit itchy one day and want to go play around with some weights, but I'm never going on holiday to hit PBs or even worry about that. So you shouldn't either. Um, so I hope that made sense. Again, like ice lollies instead of ice creams as well. Like, I actually prefer ice lollies, but like if you have an ice lolly every single day instead of an ice cream, like ice lollies are so low calorie. So like just little things like that every day will really help. Alcohol as well. Just be careful of your alcohol intake. So clear spirits and mixers. Again, remember on holiday, the serving sizes are usually like 4 times the amount. So if you're putting in one vodka and Diet Coke, you've probably had three. So just be aware of that. Um, Kennedy, so there's quite a few questions here, so I will fly through these. How to trim and tone thighs and butt the best way. Need to slim thighs down first as don't want bulkier thighs. Okay, so I really don't want you to think that like training your legs is going to give you bulkier legs. It's like any other muscle in the body. You will not get bulky. So training heavy and training your legs heavy will not make your legs bigger. I know that it's really hard to wrap your head around. I used to have the biggest legs before I trained, and I was so worried that like doing all these heavy movements would give me big legs. It certainly doesn't. Your legs are going to be the size that they are if you're overweight due to the amount of fat that you've got around the muscle and around the bone. So it's actually fat loss that you should be more bothered about rather than worrying about them becoming bulky. So again, like training your legs is one of the best things that you can do because the more muscle you have in your body, the more metabolically active you are, the easier it is to lose fat. So in turn, all that's going to create these big legs is eating and overconsumption of calories. So eating more than your body requires. That's going to obviously the reason you gain fat. So the best thing to do is obviously strength training, be in a calorie deficit. Again, calories are going to be the only way in which you're going to lose fat or not, despite whether or not you train. And again, keeping active. And a lot of the time, if clients who say got bigger legs and then they lose weight very quickly and they're not strength training, they're still not going to be happy with the way that their legs look, even if they're smaller, because they're still not got like the shape and definition that somebody would want. So just trying to like worried about them not getting bulky is not the way forward. So I would just say calorie deficit. I know, Kennedy, you're not a client, but for you, obviously, personally, it would be training legs once to twice per week and calorie deficit, and that would obviously prevent that happening anyway. Um, so I've answered your question. How to incorporate more protein with the pescatarian diet? Again, you probably should just join the Elevate program because I'll help you out. But instead of like shameless self promo, I've got a lot of clients who are pescatarian and vegan that I coach, believe it or not. Really, really easy to hit high protein diet. I would say if not so more often than not, it can be easy because a lot of people who are vegetarian or vegan cook a lot. They'll cook a lot of home cooked meals because they haven't got a choice. So I've put some stuff on here just to show you like average amounts of protein per like for fish and things like that. Fish is fantastic because it's very, very low in calories. So again, I advise people eat more fish just in general. But 100 grams of cooked salmon is 25 grams of protein, which isn't a lot of salmon. 100 grams of canned tuna has 23 grams of protein. Like two tins of tuna, like 50, 60 grams of protein, and that can be a really easy lunch. White fish is great. Again, 20 grams of protein per 100 gram. Prawns is 24, scallops 20, mussels 18, crab 19. So like any of your fish is really high in protein per 100 grams of cooked. Some more so than things like your chicken and your steak. So it should be really, really simple when you eat fish as well. Dairy alternatives, again, um, dairy and alternatives, sorry. So Greek yogurt, easy. Skyr, cottage cheese, milk, soy yogurt. So all of those are super, super high in protein. Your soy is always your highest source of protein as well. Cow's milk is also very, very high in protein, and obviously Greek yogurt. So dairy, like really utilize dairy. The issue that pescatarians usually have is this usually struggle to stick within the calorie deficit because they're eating so high in fats because a lot of pescatarians, vegetarians, and vegans will eat a very high fat diet, as in like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oils, things like that. And fat is obviously very calorie dense and it will push their calories so, so high. So they think they're being healthy when in fact they're just eating too much or eating too calorie dense things. So you have to really watch your fat intake when you're vegetarian or vegan or pescatarian because the chances are you'll eat naturally a higher fat diet because you're not utilizing leaner sources of protein. So that's something that you have to be aware of. Not that fat's bad, it's just harder to hit your calories. Plant-based proteins again, tofu, loads of different ones here, edamame, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans. So beans are great for fiber. Again, all your meat alternatives, like there's a no cluck chicken, I think it's called, that one of my clients eats, Caroline, who's vegetarian. The macros to that are the same as chicken. Like literally, it's ridiculous. Like I don't know how they do it, but like the I say fake chicken now, really good. Some vegetarian sausages, really high in protein. No bacon as well, very high in protein. So nowadays it couldn't be any easier to be vegetarian or pescatarian and hit your protein goal because there's so many good alternatives. I would always say where possible, try and stick to your whole foods. Just try use dairy and fish as your first part of call before going through ultra processed options. But there is still tons of options out there to eat protein goal. Um, Convenience, again, my lowest favorite, but protein powder, again, protein bar, protein crisps. So you've got options there in terms of convenience as well. So it should be pretty straightforward. Great question. Again, if you scroll enough down my profile on Instagram, you'll find a video on this. But does having Greek yogurt instead of Greek style yogurt makes much of a difference? Yes, it is a massive difference. Every single client who has Greek style yogurt would have been pulled up on it, I think. And if I haven't, tell me off because I should have seen it. Greek style yogurt and Greek yogurt are two completely different things, and it's so easy to accidentally buy Greek style yogurt. It's not that it's bad for you, and now and again it's fine. And like sometimes if there's no Greek yogurt or it's like a ridiculous price, I'll just buy Greek style. So I'm not saying you can never not do it, but it's just made completely differently. So the way that authentic Greek yogurt's made is that it's strained through a really long process, and when they strain it, it actually takes away a lot of the sugars, and that's what creates the thickness, and that's why it's quite tart. But it also makes it full of probiotics, very high in protein and very low in sugar. So it's absolutely amazing for obviously your fat loss journey and hitting your protein goal in general, and obviously all the probiotics from it. Like that's why things like Activia and stuff like that, it's just bullshit. Like you just get that from yogurt. You don't need to drink it like a yogurty sugary drink. Like all the live yogurt cultures are in Greek yogurt. So that's why I advise everyone eats it every day anyway. And Greek style yogurt, they basically put in a load of thickeners just to make it thick. And they don't have the same straining process, so a lot of the sugars are left in the yogurt. So it's not made the same, it's made completely differently. So because it's not being strained, it's obviously a lot higher in sugar anyway. It's a lot sweeter, that's why people like it more. Muller Greek style yogurts, one sin or whatever bullshit Weight Watchers used to tell us. But again, it does taste nicer. But that's why for I say Greek yogurt, just put a scoop of protein powder in, mix it round. You've got your vanilla yogurt there. Like you don't need to go get flavored yogurt to do that. Um, Again, they've got thickeners in it to minimize the texture. It's Greek style is a lot lower in protein. Like you're looking at 8 to 12 grams of protein per 200 grams. Whereas per 200 grams of Greek yogurt, you're going to get 20 to 30 grams of protein. So protein's just night and day. You'll get double from using Greek yogurt from Greek style yogurt. So it's a really, really easy swap. Much better for probiotics, much better at supporting your gut lining. So yeah, totally different Greek yogurt all the way. Hope that answered your question. Best app to track meals and calories. MyFitnessPal. MyFitnessPal. That's the only one I'd recommend. How often do you recommend you should train weights a week in early surgical menopause or menopause in general? So it doesn't matter whether you're in obviously early surgical menopause or menopause in general. Obviously, it's still very, very tough is menopause, and that's a whole other topic that I've done a coaching on. I'll probably do another coaching on that soon as well, like an updated one. So 2 to 4 sessions a week is a great target. My clients, everyone trains 3 times a week, no matter whether they're in menopause or they're not in menopause, because it's really, really good in terms of recovery, but enough volume as well. Um, Again, I would always advise like starting on full body sessions. Again, Kennedy, I don't know your experience level, so it's hard for me to advise. But like if you can start with full body, you could do lighter weights but higher rep range to help prevent like early onset fatigue and things like that. No matter what, you need progressive overload. It doesn't matter whether you're 20 or 80, like you need progressive overload to actually see significant results. You need to be tracking your lifts week on week and making sure you're pushing yourself in terms of rep range or weight. Best time to train if you struggle to sleep is late afternoon or early evenings. It works well for a lot of women because it can help be a stress reduction. For me, like and most women, like cortisol's highest in the morning, and a lot of people do really like training first thing in the morning, which is great. But if you've got the ability to train quite early in the evening, let's say like 3, 4, 5, or 6, that is a great time to kind of unwind from the day. What you don't want to be doing is training like late at night because it's going to spike all your adrenaline, spike all your stress while you're trying to go to sleep. So I would say, early evening, late afternoon, ideal. If not, obviously first thing in the morning's fine. Um, Even morning or midday sessions are fine. Again, if you work from home, even 30-minute sessions on your lunch break, perfect. Like literally get them out of the way in your lunch break. Again, combining strength training with gentle exercise, walking. I'd always advise people walking on an evening as well. It's really good to help you sleep and relax and help you wind down with your circadian rhythm. Even like seeing the sun setting, like it's going to tell your brain that it's going to be time to go to bed soon. Like we're animals at the end of the day, we deal a lot with sunrise and sunset. So things like that. But yeah, so if you're struggling to get to sleep at night due to the menopause, best time to train, I would just say don't train within like 2 hours of going to sleep, and that shouldn't be having the impact. What I would say though, a lot of the time when I'm coaching menopausal women, they're too tired to train, so then they don't train and then they can't sleep. Sleep is designed for physical and mental recovery. If you are mentally drained and you are not physically tired because you've not moved enough during the day, you're not going to be able to sleep. You need to fatigue your body, whether that be walking, strength training. Like the more active you are, the better sleep you're going to get. I used to get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night and really struggle to sleep. Like I can easily like have 7 to 9 hours a night now because my body needs the recovery. So my advice would be like get more active and your body will need the recovery and sleep shouldn't be as hard. So hope that made sense. Um, why do I hit the fuck it button? Very brief, but I'll answer this the best that I can because I don't know what in contact this is for. So obviously I don't know why you hit the fuck it button because obviously you're not a client at the moment, so obviously you have to give me a little bit more context for this. But a lot of the time, like when we're hitting the fuck it button, it's just down to willpower and decision fatigue. So if you think like throughout the day, like we have hundreds of decisions to make. So this is about food, work, social life, like by the evening, like when it gets to evening, like your willpower is like your tank's empty, like your decision making tank is done and dusted. So that's why it makes, the ability to not like to what would be the word? So the ability to say no to things or to like not have the chocolate or not do this, it's a lot harder because we've got nothing left to give, if that makes sense. So this is why I talk about decision fatigue a lot. And in life, a lot of the time we're knackered because we're making too many decisions every single day about our life. So once you take a big portion of the decision making out of your life, it gives you more energy to make more informed decisions. So by this, I mean having a meal plan, knowing, doing your meal prep twice a week. So then you're not thinking all the time, oh, what shall I have for breakfast? What shall I have for lunch? Like all that, like is actually exhausting. Or what shall I do for this? Or what shall I do for that? And that's why I say like having set training days. And I know it sounds like people probably like, oh, for God's sake, like when I say you're training on different days every week, but you're taking a decision out of it. Like you could say I train Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, no matter what, no matter how I'm feeling, they're the days I train. You're taking the whole, oh, shall I go to the gym? Shall I not bother? Shall I do it tomorrow? This is all fatigue on the brain, guys, and it is wearing you away. So that's why the more organized, planned, and structured you can be in your life, all the other decisions become a lot easier to make because you're not sick of making decisions. So that is why people just hit the fuck it button because they think, oh, I've had enough, can't be arsed, I'm just gonna hit the fuck it button. So decision fatigue, I'd say, is like one of the big ones. Another thing I'd say is sleep scheduling. So, like, if you are sleep deprived, and I know you guys who are taught to sleep about in your reviews every week are probably absolutely sick of me saying you need to get more sleep, but it really does impact so many decisions. When we are not sleeping, and by that I mean 7 hours is the minimum. I think that when you've got targets in for 7 hours, it's not, oh yeah, Sophie, I hit 7 hours. It's like, no, you should be doing that anyway. That is the basement. And the reason being is sleep controls our ghrelin and leptin, which is the feeling of fullness and the feeling of hunger. If you are not getting high quality, good sleep, you are going to feel hungrier quicker and not feel as full as quick, thus making decision making a lot harder because you're feeling hungrier. You're not actually that hungry because you're not sleeping. So a lot of the time things can be fixed with sleep. So making sure you're in a really, really good rhythm and routine so you're getting plenty of sleep so it's not that your hormones are out of whack. Again, evenings can become a cue for comfort food and emotional triggers. So again, mindless snacking, habitually rewarding yourself because you've had a long day. Like stop rewarding. We all need to stop rewarding ourselves with food ultimately. Again, being alone, being bored, watching TV. Like if every time you watch TV you eat, or if you eat in front of the TV, move yourself away from the TV when you eat because you're creating that pattern of behavior as right, I'm watching the TV. This is when I should be eating, and you're creating an habitual thing. So you've got to start really scrutinizing your behaviors. Again, I've popped some action steps in here as well for you. So again, make sure you're finishing your protein and fiber. So aim to hit your main protein and veggie intake by 7, 8 p.m. So hunger is lower. So like maybe just push your evening meal a little bit later. So like you're not then getting to 8 o'clock and you're hungry. Having lower calorie, high protein snacks ready to go so you can eat them. Create a trigger-free environment. For me personally, like I don't buy shit in the house. Like the amount of times that I've woke up, like I've been on an evening and thought if there was a packet of biscuits in this house, I'd eat them all. But they're not there and I'm not going to be bothered going to the shop. And then obviously the next day I wake up and I think, oh, thank God, you know. So like it's because just creating that environment, even like positioning your cupboards or your fridge so stuff is at the front that you can visually see on a daily basis. You're not opening the cupboard every time and seeing like Jaffa cakes and then wondering why you want Jaffa cakes. Like, sorry, what? They're in your they're in your line of sight every day. So like visually like making your environment a little bit easier. Put some healthy swaps in place. Fruit, popcorn. Popcorn's great. It's so low in calorie. It's so satiating. Takes ages to eat. Like that's just something that you could just like popcorn and hot chocolate for me. I can smash that with 150 calories and be quite happy. Again, replace mindless eating with other rituals. So a quick walk, 10 minute stretch, sit and journal, read. Um, I find like cups of tea really, really help me. Like if I'm feeling something like just having a cup of tea and having something warm and comforting can really, really help my cravings as well. Address emotional cravings again, like I said before. If it's just emotional, use a non-food reward, a bath, call a friend, listen to a podcast. Try and finish heavier meals at least 2 hours before bed so your body has time to digest. If late night cravings hit, stick to 150 cal high protein snacks rather than unrestricted eating. Keep a nightly reflection, note what triggered cravings and what worked. Make evenings non-negotiable self-care time, not food time. Eating food and rewarding yourself with food is not self-care, guys. It's self-sabotage and understanding that. Stop saying, oh, I'm giving myself this because it's a reward. So I hope that helped. Quick one. Best way to fully engage bicep curls. Sometimes feel like I don't fully feel my biceps doing the work. Cool. So send me a form video first, Sophie, because I'll be able to actually look at that. There's loads of different videos of me here doing all different bicep curls, and I've managed to line it up quite well. You'll see, I know it's a bit overwhelming because it's four on one page, but any variation of a bicep curl, I'm always pausing at the top and concentric the bicep. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Every single movement, it's a pause at the top and it's a very, very low eccentric, which is the movement going down. Again, you have to squeeze at the top, slow down the tempo. That could be the biggest one. So again, hold it up and then 3 to 4 seconds down. Keep elbows tucked into the side, so don't let your elbows start drifting forwards. Keep your shoulders relaxed. I'm just going to move back off that because it's a bit distracting. But like a lot of the time, I'll see when people are doing bicep curls, they're like this, they're like shrugging like this. Just get your shoulders back and down out the way, like get them out the way. Start with arms fully extended, not locked out, so don't be locking out your elbow. Fully stretch the bicep at the bottom. Don't be doing like half reps where you're coming down halfway. Supinated grip, so like palms up will emphasize the bicep more. But you can also try hammer curls, so try this grip as well. Um, to give you a bit more engagement. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. Again, pausing at the top or doing slow negative, so slow on the way down. If you don't feel it, try reduce the weight because you might be using momentum. So you should be able to feel your bicep with no weight. Like I could sit here and do hammer curls and like get a bicep pump just with my fist. You don't need a lot of load for your biceps. It is about quality and control. But my advice would be send me a video because I'll be able to see immediately where you're going wrong. So I hope that made sense. Last few guys, and then we'll be good to go unless anyone's got any more questions. So, Claire, I don't know if you're on this, Claire. I don't know, I think I've seen your name pop up. There's a few Zoom users. I always pop in the chat if you're here because I was going to ask you a few questions on this, but you might have not showed up. But um, so I only eat when I'm hungry. 90% healthy, exercise consistently, weights, cardio, drink alcohol rarely, and there's nothing wrong with my thyroid or hormones. What else can I do other than quit eating? So I don't know if you're here, Claire, but if you were here, I'd ask you a couple of questions. So again, it depends how much weight you want to lose. Like if you are in a position where you've got a lot of weight to lose and nothing's working, there will be something going wrong. This could be a million and one reasons why you're not achieving fat loss. But again, I want to answer this because there might be other people who have been stuck in this position. So first of all, you need to make sure you're drinking enough water a day. That has a massive impact on fat loss. Fat loss comes out your urine. Obviously, it comes out your sweat, breath, everything like that. But a lot of fat loss comes out your urine, and lack of hydration can make fat loss hard. Tracking lifts and making sure you're actually progressing with your strength training. Put exercise consistently here, but you've not put whether you're doing gym classes, cardio, you've not put what type of exercise. Are you following a low impact progressive overload strength training program? If not, I would do that. Calorie deficit, again, you can eat healthy till the cows come home. You can literally wash your chicken every day and but eat too much of it. Eating healthy does not equate to fat loss. Eating healthy is obviously important, but I used to eat relatively healthy but still be like 6 stone overweight because I was eating in excess of calories. So eating healthy doesn't mean anything. You need to track your calories and make sure your calories are accurate and your macros are accurate. Again, tracking food quality, portions. Again, even if, like I said, if you're eating healthy, it doesn't really mean anything in terms of fat loss. Alcohol intake, like you said, like you drink alcohol rarely, and rarely can mean differently to everyone. Is that monthly, weekly? It doesn't matter. So again, what type of alcohol are you choosing? When you drink, are you binge drinking? What does that look like? Again, what's your sleep and stress management? What do you do for a job? Have you got kids? How much are you sleeping? Like, what's your lifestyle like? That'll have a huge impact. Again, consistency and patience. How long have you been doing this for? Again, I think it must have been quite a while if you've had your thyroid and stuff like that checked and everything's okay. But my advice would be message me and I'll have a chat with you because chances are there's something going wrong. Guys, like, and I know this sounds really hard, like there's less than 1% of the population with any medical reason to why they can't lose weight, yet the majority of the UK population are overweight or obese. It is usually not a health problem, like in terms of like thyroid or some metabolism or something like that. I know it's really disheartening because I went for so many tests. I had polycystic ovaries, I couldn't lose weight. Like I pretty much thought there was something wrong with me. There wasn't anything wrong with me. I was just clueless with what I was doing. Um, so that's all right, Sally. Yeah, your question's actually coming up next. If you want to hold on for 10 seconds, I don't know if you've gone yet. Oh, it's Nat's and then it's yours. Yours was last because you booked on last. Nat, whenever I get back from a trip and I can't get any fresh food, I always end up having frozen jacket potato and tuna and sweet corn as I always have them in and done, and they don't have a reason to go off. What other emergency meals can I stock up on in the same way? I eat no fresh ingredients or frozen or tinned. I mean, Nat, that's a solid meal to be quite fair, but I've written down a little list here well, I've written down it here so I can tell you what I think is a good option. Um, GSN have meals called pots of gold. They're like 500 calorie meal, 400 and 500 calorie meals in little pots. They freeze up to 12 months, so they're really good. I like advising meal prep companies because I don't want people to get married to meal prep companies, so I want people to learn how to do it themselves. But they're really handy to have in the freezer, like if you've been on holiday or something like that, or you've had like a really, you've got a really busy week at work and you're going to be back at 8, 9 o'clock every night. They're a good option. So always having them in the freezer. Soup is a really, really easy one. And what I like to do if I come off holiday is just go buy a rotisserie chicken. So like I've got a ready cooked hot chicken and I can just add it to like wraps and sandwiches and like put it in my soup. It's really easy. Beans on toast, like beans on toast is a staple. Like it's a really, really easy one. Anything obviously canned, anything on a baked potato. So like you can even get like the McCain's frozen baked potatoes. I wouldn't advise them on a weekly basis, but you can literally just microwave them or whack them in the oven and they're instantly done. Um, Frozen and ready cooked prawns, so like prawns that are ready cooked and frozen, you can just bang them straight in the frying pan. Frozen burger patties and stuff like that. But what I like to do is before I go on holiday, I just prep my food and freeze it. So like I'll do a couple of chili con carnes, a couple of beef stews, put them in the freezer because I'm going to get back. I'm going to have washing to do. There's going to be so much on, so it's not going to be just when I get back. It's going to be that next couple of days. Don't come back from holiday and like just not be prepared because then you might have another shit week of nutrition when it can be completely avoided. So prepare for when you come back, when you go away, would be my advice. But that meal that you're having now is fine. But they're just some other suggestions. Um, I hope that made sense. Yeah, yeah, freeze your own meal prep now. But yeah, emergency food supply. Yeah, beans on toast is always a go-to. It's not super high in protein, of course, but it's not absolutely terrible. And usually when you come off holiday, like, and no TMI, but you usually get constipated, so the fiber in the beans really does help. Um, Naomi, any tips or cravings during period, please, particularly wanting to be eating constantly, or am I okay to eat the same as a family of four? What do you think I'm going to say, Naomi? Eat the same as a family of four or manage your cravings? I wonder what. But yeah, PMS cravings are absolutely horrendous. Like I suffer with PMS. Most people suffer with PMS, especially if you've got hormonal conditions. Again, like the reason being is obviously your hormones. Your hormones are changing, which is obviously why this is happening. So your blood sugar is your main kind of point of call. That's your blood sugar fluctuations. So your body's going to crave quick energy, which usually comes from sugar and carbohydrates. So that's why we feel like that. Obviously, psychological and physical discomfort. So like PMS wants you to makes you to eat more comfort foods, even if you're not truly hungry. So it is completely normal. Again, I would not advise anything different from normal. High protein, high fiber, slowing down the digestive tract to make you feel for longer, making sure we feel satiated. Like, look at the satiating index, like potatoes are the number one satiating food. I've talked about satiation before, like eating really highly palatable and highly satiating food, so like you feel that level of comfort as well. Slow digesting carbs to help stabilize blood sugar. We don't want peaks and troughs, like things like sweet potato and things like that. I know it's really easy just to want to eat a loaf of bread, but that is just going to make things a hell of a lot worse. And the chances are we're going to be PMSing for a couple of days, so we want really stable blood sugar levels. Again, hydrate consistently. Body temperature is increased during PMS, and that's why we're hungrier as well. We are burning a little bit more calories, but we are becoming dehydrated a lot quicker as well. So we need to make sure we stay on top of the hydration. Again, getting things like ready to go. So like having your eggs boiled for the week, like having things like beef jerky, like things that you can just grab because when you are irritated and you want to kill somebody, the last thing that you're going to want to start doing is start cutting up raw chicken breast. I can tell you that for free. I certainly don't. So try and be as prepared as you can because stop relying on you wanting to then do things because you're tired as well. So again, mindful indulgences like chocolate and treats are good, like they're fine, but just obviously not overeating them. I would say like don't allow yourself to ever get too hungry. I don't I don't advise that anyway for anyone to get too hungry. But with PMS, like you can end up feeling absolutely starving and then feeling like there's no control and you just have to get a Macca's because there's no other option. Whereas if you keep in a level of satiety throughout the whole day, you're not going to allow yourself to like dip to that point. Your blood sugar's all over the place anyway. You need to keep yourself consistently feeling a level of fullness, not just getting to zero. Again, if you've read that Hunger, Eating Out and Recovery PDF, like I talk about the hunger scale on that and why we should never let ourselves get absolutely ravenous. And PMS is obviously like a massive one in terms of that as well. So I hope that made sense. Kira, is there any tips around balancing days where I feel super hungry versus days where I struggle to eat enough to hit my macros? What are some high volume, low calorie snacks that are easy to prep and or buy? The word snacks again. I feel like the word snacks needs banning from the English dictionary. No, I'm joking. Again, it's normal to have like higher and lower hunger days. I would say as well, like you need to have a think. Obviously, you can message me about this later. But are your higher and lower days depending whether you train or not? Because if you're hungrier on training days and less hungry on non-training days, you can have different macros for training and non-training days. Some clients find themselves really hungry on training days and not hungry on non-training days. Training and non-training macros is completely fine. You can have more calories on training days, and that can usually fix the problem. Sometimes it can just be emotional, like and just time of the month what you can hunger can adjust. So again, like when you are feeling really stuffed, I don't want people to feel like they're stuffing themselves to hit the protein goal. Like that's not what I want. Start thinking of like real food that's really dense in protein but not high in volume, and maybe eating like more of those types of foods rather than, for example, like foods that's really, really low in protein but high in volume. So sometimes, and I know this sounds counterproductive, but if we've not got a massive appetite, just lower down on the fruit and veg a little bit. I know that sounds counterproductive, but we don't want to be eating so much volume where we can then not hit our protein. So it might just have to be that a little bit of volume comes away. Again, this is why I use weekly averages, not perfection. Like I'm asking clients to hit a number on a weekly average. It's not about being absolutely perfect every single day. Some days you might just be a bit hungry and have eat a bit more. That's okay. We just don't want these massive fluctuations because obviously that's just coming down to a lack of discipline. Again, like if you are feeling like you need to overeat slightly one day, you might just have to adjust your macros ever so slightly the following day. Again, even if you're not feeling super hungry, making sure you're utilizing like really, really high protein options. For example, like if I'm not super hungry and I need to hit my macros, I maybe wouldn't eat eggs in the morning because I've got to eat like two or three eggs, like 100 to 150 grams of cottage cheese, two slices of sourdough, and like loads of cucumber to like hit my protein goal by eating eggs. That's a lot of food. If I just had like Greek yogurt with a scoop of protein powder in, I could literally have a tiny little bowl and hit like 40, 50 grams of protein. So like changing your meals up. So if I know I'm not hungry, I think, oh right, I'll just get a yogurt bowl down me because it's going to be higher in protein but lower in volume. So start like understanding what meals are going to be that in that way inclined. So your macros are still hit, but your volume's different. Um, so again, like if you're really hungry, utilizing highly satiating foods like potatoes. Like potatoes should be everyone's best friend when they're hungry on a fat loss journey because they're so high in volume and so low in calorie. Again, like if you are, for example, not very hungry, utilizing pasta and rice because you can have the very calorie dense of carbohydrates. So just switching up and thinking, right, how am I feeling today? What is going to be my best choice in terms of protein, fats, and carbs? Again, if you're not very hungry but you don't want to undereat, utilize fats because fats are very calorie dense. A little bit more of olive oil when you're cooking, you won't even notice the difference. It's going to pack your calories in. Avocado, nuts, seeds, oils, things like that. I know those are the things that I'm usually telling you to control, but some days, like especially like Kira, if you do go into reverse dieting, your calories might need to go really high and you can't physically, it's hard to eat. So you have to like use olive oils and things like that to get your calories in. So I hope that helped. Um, Sally, sorry, I was like, oh, it's next question. You should stay. I hope you've not stayed and waited all that time. But this is the last question, I believe. Oh no, yeah, second to last question. What is your go-to or science-backed method for controlling pre-period cravings for high sugar, high fat, high salt, ultra-processed foods? I told you, everyone's on the period. Do you know when people say, oh, like you like, what's it called? Like when you start hanging out with someone, like your period comes together. I feel like that just happens on the Elevate program. Like everyone hates me at a certain point in the week, and I get like blunt one-word answers or like, Sophie, why is this happening? And like everyone's dead mean to me, and then everyone becomes nice again at the same time. But this is where I thought I'd put in some like switches, like I was telling you about before, to make it easier. Yeah, you've all synced. Me too as well. Like I'm PMS at the moment, so everyone be really nice to me. Um, so salty cravings. So these are often linked to sodium needs. So like this is dehydration and stress, usually. It can also be habitual. So we're not always saying, oh, I want a packet of crisps, I'm dehydrated, like, but I'm just saying on general. Sweet cravings is usually blood sugar dips, energy needs, or low serotonin. So this is why it's common pre-period or during stress. Your body may be seeking quick energy or mood boosting effects. And high fat cravings, so these can reflect a need for satiety or comfort, or your brain just seeking calorie dense foods. So key point, cravings are often um, physiological signals and habitual emotional cues, not a failure of willpower. So if we're understanding what our cravings are, we can kind of understand swaps. So salty, easy one, popcorn, roasted chickpeas, edamame with sea salt, rice cakes with tuna. Like they're really, really easy. What I like to do is like I put salt on my porridge oats every day. It helps rehydrate me anyway. But like if I have a bit of salt on my porridge oats with peanut butter, it's very sweet and salty, but it also I feel like it just really helps my cravings. Like I don't really crave anything else later on in the day if I have something like that. Um Again, white works satisfies saltiness and crunch without excess calories or fat. I kid you not, guys, if you want something really warm and comforting, like bowl of oats, I know like I just sound so boring, but trust me, like the big blob of peanut butter, some salt on there, like a little bit of chocolate things. Like if you eat it all, it's so satiating. Or like a Greek yogurt bowl, heat up some raspberries, pour it on, some dark chocolate on it, let it melt in, few like handful of granola. Like you can make these things really satiating. Like our bodies will still feel satiated from that type of food. You don't just have to go for like, I don't know, sticky date pudding and custard. Like, let's be real, I know we'd like to. Um, Sweet, fresh frozen berries, small portion of dark chocolate, protein smoothie, Greek yogurt, cinnamon, stuff like that. Again, in winter, I love oats with some cinnamon in, like it just makes me feel all warm and cozy. Provides sweetness and high fiber protein to stabilize blood sugar. If you want something fatty, avocado and rice cakes, nuts in measured portions, hummus with veggie sticks. Again, offers healthy fats to satisfy cravings while still nutrient dense. Also, guys, what I would say, I think I don't know if I've put it in here as well. Um, but like, if you fancy a burger, just make your own burger. I know it sounds like really obvious, but like, just get a brioche bun, like, get some juicy mincemeat, and like, I just prefer my own burgers anyway. Like, just make what you fancy, but just make it yourself. Like, you're still gonna enjoy it. Again, if you want crisps, there's so many low calorie crisps these days, honestly, but like popcorn's like so easy. If you want nuts, chickpeas, crackers, rice cakes are so easy. Like rice cakes are great. Like with a bit of PB2 powder, mix it together with a little banana and honey on top. You can have like three of those and it's like 200 calories and it will feel really satiating. Again, snacks, veggie sticks and hummus. I always say with a pinch of salt because I really don't like veggie sticks. I do not like raw vegetables, but like I can go a bit of cucumber and hummus, something like that. Um, chocolate bars, again, dark chocolate. Again, I used to like when people say dark chocolate, I used to be like, it's not the same. But I don't like it raw. But if it's melted, oh my God, try it melted before you say you don't like dark chocolate. Like hot raspberries, square of dark chocolate, it is so lovely, but I can't eat it raw. It just tastes so different warmed up, so try it. Again, ice cream, sorbet is great. Again, even just freezing your Greek yogurt, like just putting your frozen yogurt, mixed protein powder in it or honey, whatever, and just put it in the freezer and just eat it frozen. Like it's just so much more enjoyable. There's so many low calorie ice creams now as well that are so, so good. Protein smoothie, Greek yogurt, cinnamon, sugary drinks, sparkling waters, herbal teas, things like that. So, so many different things you can do. If you want fried foods, again, baked sweet potato wedges. The way that I do my wedges is on the high protein snacks recipe book, and I make my own chipotle sauce. I get chipotle powder and I mix it with Greek yogurt and a bit of mayo, and it's just so bloody good. And it feels like I'm having takeout chips. The recipe's in the pack if you want to go and see how to do that. Again, creamy sauces. Creamy sauces I think it's really easy. Like cottage cheese, blend it with a little bit of avocado. Like you can make all sorts of creamy sauces yourself. Tzatziki is my favorite mint sauce mixed with Greek yogurt and a bit of lemon juice. Like you can just have tons of that, and it's fine. Again, if you want takeaway pizzas, just make your own. So easy, so easy. Like I used to make pizzas using tortilla wraps. I know it sounds shit. It isn't that shit as it sounds. Trust me, like it's still pretty decent. Again, peanut butters, almond butters, things like that. They're so, so easy just to satisfy cravings. And this is the last one. I'm not lying to you guys. I feel like I've just manipulated all over 5 questions, but it is. I forgot how many questions there were. Jodie, what's the best way to reset after a holiday without falling into the all or nothing mindset? Again, reframe your thinking like holidays are not a failure, they're just a pause on your journey, like just seeing your holiday as a as a maintenance phase. That's what I see it as, or like even like a little body reset. I see holidays as like giving my body like the rest and break that it needs to then be very reactive when I come back. So I see it as like a really good thing, not a bad thing. I say that like I take holidays all the time. You'll know I've probably taken like 2 holidays in like 3 years. I probably need to take some more holidays. Um, but again, like focus on getting back to your usual habits, not like, right, I've undone everything. If you went on holiday and ate and drank perfectly, you'd still come back heavier because of the flight. So like you're gonna gain scale weight, get over it. Like probably anywhere from like £5 to £10. It's pretty normal. Like it'll come off within 2 to 3 weeks. It's really not a big deal. But just get back to your normal meal structures, balance protein, fats, and carbs. When we're on holiday, we can eat and drink quite late, we can stay up quite late. What I like to do is like the last couple of days before I come home, try start getting in a bit of a better sleep routine so I'm not coming back feeling really knackered. Just like have an early night the night before, and just try and get myself into some type of routine. Again, resume your workouts, even if it's just like 1 or 2 sessions. You will get DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, if you've not trained for 2 weeks. It's because your body's not used to it and it's like it's going into shock again. So you might just need to take workouts like a touch heavy because you will feel like you've been hit by a bus. Again, no restriction, no like extreme diets. Absolutely pound the water because you a lot of the weight that you gain is water retention because you've eaten a lot of high sodium, high carbohydrate food, which causes your cells in your body to hold on to water. So you just need to drink more water and the water retention will go. Um, Again, holidays are the main problems is you disrupt sleep, you disrupt your habit patterns and routines. So restoring your habits and routines is very, very pivotal to do that first. Again, plan your first few meals. So ideally you've got some stuff prepped in the freezer. Don't just be coming back and like, all right, shit, we're gonna have takeaways for the next 3 nights because we've not been food shopping and we've not done anything. You can even order a food shop to like arrive the next day when you get home. So like you're not putting yourself pressure to get back out into the supermarket. You know food shops coming. Again, you can maybe just take a day or two off tracking, but just slowly start getting to the habitual of prepping your food again. Again, missing a workout or having like a treat post holiday, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. One day of slightly high calories is not going to like derail all your progress. But again, just see it as a reset and that you're just returning to your not normal habits mindfully. You're not punishing yourself for indulgences. Not like, oh, I had a dessert every night this week, so I'm going to have to go on the Stairmaster every day. It doesn't work like that. Just go back to usual routine. Because it's about momentum, not restriction. And yes, that's a wrap, guys. Um, Hopefully that was useful for you all. Thank you for your patience. I know I was here quite a while, but thanks to you guys who have stayed on. If there's any other questions, do let me know. Do pop me a DM. But if not, I will see you all in probably 3 weeks for the next one. Have a good rest of your Sunday, guys. My pleasure. Bye bye, guys. Thanks so much.